Alright, let's look at the matchup of red versus blue. The speed of red is going to try to win the controlling blue. Alright, let's see what the red player draws. A Brimstone Valley deals 3 damage or 5 if a creature just died. Raging Goblin, a 1/1 with haste. A mountain. Mog Flunkies, a 3/3 that must attack with something else. Another Mog Flunkies. Another land, mountain. And lastly, another Raging Goblin. Not a bad hand for red. This is actually exactly what red is looking for. A couple 1-drops to attack early, some 2-drops to attack right behind them, some direct damage, and 2 lands really all red needs to start with. The blue player, we're not going to show the blue player's hand because they're going to kind of be the defender. And they're going to try to stop and control red. And when you play against blue, you never really know what they're going to do. They always have something planned to stop you. So we're going to kind of put theirs off to the side over here. Alright, the red player is going to go first here. They're going to play a mountain, tap the mountain, and play Raging Goblin, a 1/1 with haste. Unaffected by summoning sickness, attacks and deals 1 damage right off the bat. I love that card, Raging Goblin. Fun fact, Raging Goblin is actually what my tattoo is of. It is a Raging Goblin from an alternate Magic card art that I really like. I love the fact that you just start the game and just deal damage before the other players have even taken their turn yet. And red is done. It's now blue player's turn. They draw, play a land, and pass the turn. Red player untaps, plays their land, and now they can play another Raging Goblin if they wanted to, but I think they're going to set up for a turn 3 Mog Flunky attack. So they play Mog Flunkies. You can't attack yet, but Raging Goblin can again. Down to 18 for the blue player. Blue player's up. They'll play land, and they will do nothing. It's normal for blue to sit back and kind of wait and see what happens so they can kind of try to counter things. Red player's turn. Red player draws another Raging Goblin. Alright, with 2 mana, what do we do here? We can play lots of Raging Goblins, or we can set up for another Mog Flunky attack later. I kind of like going with more Mog Flunkies for the most damage in the long run. So we're going to tap. It's actually, you know what? We're not sure what they're going to do with their land over here in blue. So let's actually try to attack before playing the creature. What that's going to do, since the creature's not going to do anything with the damage, it's going to let us wait and see what the blue player does. The blue player does nothing, and they take 4 damage. Now, we're in our second main phase. We'll pay 2 mana and play the Mog Flunkies. However, at this point, the blue player does have a response. They're going to counter the Mog Flunkies with a Psychic Barrier. Counter target creature spell and deal that player a point of damage. So the Mog Flunkies will not live, and the red player will lose a life as well. Blue player's turn. Untap, draw, and play a 3rd land. What should the blue player do? The blue player is not like the idea of all these creatures out there attacking. It's going to pay 3 mana and play Rhystic Deluge. It's an enchantment. It stays permanently on the field, and you can tap a mana to tap a creature, unless the controller pays a mana as well. Alright, it's now the red player's turn. Now, the red player is feeling pretty good right now because the blue player has no lands untapped, which means they're pretty much free to do what they'd like and attack as they'd like. They would like to have a 3rd mana here to deal more damage, but they're going to get by on what they have. They're going to tap 1 mana to play another Raging Goblin, and another mana to play a third Raging Goblin, which is pretty awesome. And now they're going to attack, because all the Raging Goblins have haste, and they're going to hit for 6 points of damage. Red player is feeling really good. They're trying to get the blue player down as low as they can before the blue player starts really controlling the game. Blue player untaps, draws, plays a land, and passes the turn. Now it's red player's turn. Now just because blue player says pass the turn doesn't mean they don't have anything. It means they're waiting. There's our third land. That's pretty good for the red player. Alright, so again, instead of playing these spells we have first, let's think about what we can do here with our 3 lands. Because this Rhystic Deluge is going to be really annoying. It can tap all 4 creatures with 4 lands and not let us attack unless we play lands ourselves. So unfortunately, we might have to wait and see what the blue player does. We're going to attempt to attack with everything. The blue player is going to pay 1 land to tap the flunky before it can attack. So it's saying before you attack, actually I'm going to tap the flunky down. The red player will respond by playing its own land, like the Rhystic Deluge says it has to do to keep Mog Flunky from tapping. Well, the blue player says, no, I really want him to go down and I have more mana than you. So I'm going to tap another one. The red player says, okay, I'm okay with that. I'm going to pay it as well. And so the blue player is going to have to play 3 to tap down a third one. And finally a 4th one. The blue player has more land, so it will kind of win this little battle here and tap down the Mog Flunky. Which is unfortunate because now the red player has no lands. But we were able to attack with our Raging Goblins for 3 damage, taking it down to 5. Alright, it's now the blue player's turn. Untap, draw, play a land, and it's now the red player's turn. So we're feeling pretty good. They only have 5 points of damage left. Let's see if we can finish off the blue player. We draw a Minotaur Skullcleaver, a 2/2 with haste that comes out with an extra +2/+0 for the first turn it comes out. Feeling pretty good. However, if we play it, the other player is going to tap all of our creatures down. We won't be able to attack. It actually has 5 lands now. It can tap us 5 times. 3 lands held back will keep 2 creatures untapped. Is that what we want to do? I think that would be better because we really just want to try to get as much points of damage in there as possible. So, we're going to attack, 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 attack. The blue player actually has a slightly different plan this time. They're going to, in response to that attack, before the attack phase, pay 2 mana and play Echoing Truth. Return a non-land permanent and all permanents with the same name to the owner's hand. So they're actually going to send back all the Raging Goblins back to the owner's hand. Now that's annoying because now the Mog Flunky can't attack by itself. The red player can play all the Raging Goblins, but they will get tapped down. At this point, that might still be worth it. So, the red player plays a Raging Goblin to see if the blue player will counter it. It does not. Now, it's going to tap the other one, put another Raging Goblin, doesn't get countered, and finally the third Raging Goblin comes back out, doesn't get countered. It's again going to attempt to attack with everybody. However, the blue player is going to respond before the attack phase. I'm going to pay a land to tap this Raging Goblin, a land to tap this Raging Goblin, and a land to tap this Raging Goblin. The red player has no mountains left to stop that, and unfortunately none of these Raging Goblins will get to attack this turn, despite their valiant effort to try to attack, which means that Mog Flunkies is left alone and cannot attack by itself. Well played, Blue. It did not take any damage that turn. It's now Blue's turn. They play another land, so the blue is starting to get a control of this game, but they are down to 5 life. Let's see if they can hold off, or if red is going to push through that final damage. Alright, blue is going to hold back, and because right now it's going to have 6 lands to try to tap down the red player's stuff while it continues to control, and passes the turn. Alright, it's red player's turn. Red player actually kind of wants some land here to counter that. Does not get any more land. So, it's trying to get some damage through, but it's not looking very good. Alright, instead of playing this game where the blue player taps down all the creatures and red player just can't do anything, red player is going to try something new. It's going to play 3 mana and play Minotaur Skull Cleaver, the 2/2 with haste. Now he's pretty much trying to build up an army here that can overwhelm the amount of mana this player has. However, blue player has 3 lands and will play a counter spell, and it's going to counter this spell. Goes into the graveyard, and the blue player gets to draw a card. So red player is getting nervous here, like the game is slipping out of control. Red player now moves to attack phase. However, it has no land to stop the blue player from tapping 3 lands and tapping all 3 Raging Goblins, leaving the Mog Flunkies alone, unable to attack again. It's now the blue player's turn. And you see how blue is controlling with just 1 card here. Gets another land, which is actually kind of what it wanted. It wants to be able to tap more of the red creatures. Alright. Blue player decides this time to tap 2 and play Narcolepsy on a Mog Flunky, saying if it's untapped, tap it at the beginning of the turn so it stays tapped. And that's all it does, passes the turn. So the Flunky is actually going to get tapped while the Raging Goblins will come untapped. It still has 5 lands to do some tapping. With 5 lands versus 3 lands, the Raging Goblin wouldn't be able to get 1 through. And I think the Raging Goblin is going to try to do that. So the red player is going to try to get a little bit of damage through. They're going to declare their attack phase, at which point the blue player is going to spend 1, 2, 3 lands to tap down these creatures. However, the red player will play 3 lands also to keep them untapped. The blue player has an extra 2 land that they can use to tap down 2 of the creatures, and red can't stop it. Red still has one creature, though, that is able to attack and deal a point of damage, which is pretty good compared to the last couple turns when Red did no damage. Now, Red has a Brimstone Volley in their hand that can deal 3 damage, or if one of their creatures dies, can deal 5 damage. So it's kind of hoping to get that off if it can pull it off. Also aware that the blue may be able to counter it. It's now blue player's turn. They draw. Blue player is going to actually spend some of their land, which may seem crazy, but spend 5 land and play this Muldrifter. It's a 2/2 with flying. So as a 2/2, it can definitely block and actually kill some of these attacking Raging Goblins. And it gets to draw 2 cards. One of which is a land, which is perfect for the blue player to be able to tap down more stuff. It's now the red player's turn. The Flunky stays tapped because of Narcolepsy. The red player actually wants more land here to fight off this blue player. Does not get it. Alright. Now, the red player has that Brimstone Volley. It's not afraid of a creature dying. It kind of likes that idea. However, there's 3 land here and 3 land here, so it needs all 3 land to be able to attack. It can somehow, with these 3 lands, it can attack with all 3. 1 will definitely get blocked by Muldrifter, but 2 could get through. Or we can play a Fervent Cather and not let the Muldrifter even block. Yes, it'll get rid of all of our creatures. I'm sorry, it'll get rid of all of our mana. But 1 point of damage will still get through and will keep an extra creature on the field. We really only need to get them down to 3 so we can play our Brimstone Volley. No, I think I want to try to get 2 damage through. I think getting as much damage down is the best. So, we're going to declare an attack phase, at which point the blue player will try to play 3 mana and stop these guys from attacking. The red player will have to play 3 mana as well to keep them attacking. It then swings with all 3 Raging Goblins. The Muldrifter will block one of them and kill the Raging Goblin, taking 2 points of damage. Getting closer, down to 2. Now, if red can catch blue off guard, they can finish them off with the Brimstone Volley. However, blue's turn, and they have a lot of land. 8 land to be exact. The blue player will pass the turn. It's now red's turn. They draw. Hey, a land is much needed right now. Alright, so the first thing they're going to try to do is get through and deal some damage. The first thing they're going to do, actually, is attempt to attack for 2 damage. If they can attack for 2 damage, they can get a point of damage through. The blue player will say, I'm going to tap all 4 lands. I'm going to tap 1 land, 2 land to tap these guys. Now, this was kind of this attack was kind of a bluff by red player, because they don't really want to spend all their mana trying to get these Raging Goblins through when they know the blue player has more lands and is going to win that land battle. So instead, what they'll do is they'll let... they actually only need 3 mana there, so they will pay 1 mana to keep one of them untapped. At which point, the blue player will tap another land, and they have to tap. So the red player was not able to attack this turn. Now, blue player has 5 lands, which means they could counter the Brimstone Volley. But red has to go for it. Red's going to tap 3 and deal 3 damage to the blue player. The blue player has a counter creature spell, but does not have a counter target instant. And red wins. They dealt the last bit of damage. Whew, that was a close one. So you see how red got a lot of damage through the beginning, but once blue started to control, it almost came back and won. Well, it almost came back and completely controlled the game and wouldn't let red do anything. Red was able to squeak through little pieces of damage one at a time until it got it low enough to finish it, and got lucky that blue didn't have another counter spell there. Well, red speed wins this one.